the dedication of the Stoughton Area Veterans Memorial Park. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here to share this significant event with us. You know, the weather isn't quite what we wanted, but it's really pretty good. You compare this to the people we are honoring today, going back to the Civil War, in a battlefield where they're firing at each other from 25 to 30 feet away, or the prison at Andersonville and others where the disease and malnutrition killed a lot, to the World War I, fighting the battles in the trenches and the gas warfare, and moving on to World War II, as cold as it was during the Battle of the Bulge. A couple of those guys that were in that battle are here today. Moving on to the Pacific, the islands of the Pacific, the mountains of Korea, and the frozen Chosin at the Chosin Reservoir in Korea, and the jungles of Vietnam, and to the terrorists that are dealing with in Afghanistan and Iran and Iraq. So it's pretty good weather today, really. So enjoy it. I'm going to start this program on a somber note. I'd rather not do that, but I just think it's appropriate. This past week, two of our long-term veterans passed away, John Christopherson and Pat Nolan. John was a veteran of the Berlin crisis, a long-term member of the American Legion, was our head cook there for about almost 40 years, doing our Legion breakfast, our monthly breakfast, and our monthly dinners. Afterwards, John retired from that job. He was down at the Legion every morning at 5:30, where along with his friend Dick Boyd, they cleaned the place up, they stocked the coolers, and took the inventory. John passed away, he had a stroke and passed away shortly afterwards. Pat Nolan was a Vietnam member, a veteran rather, and was a longtime member also of the Veterans of Foreign Wars here in Stoughton. Pat was on his way to the Legion for a monthly meeting, and he was hit by a car and died as a result of his injuries. John's funeral was Wednesday. Pat's funeral will be Monday. I think it's appropriate we have a few moments of silence for those two veterans. Thank you. I also have a couple of announcements before we start. On the far table down to on the right-hand side as you enter, there's a table there, and two people will be there. If you still want to purchase a paver or get your name or a veteran's name on the wall back here, see them. They have the forms. They could also tell you if you're looking for a particular a paver or a name, they can tell you where the paver is located and also which wall the veteran's name is on. Next to that, if someone would like to purchase a souvenir photograph, see Tim or Dana on the table right next to them. The next table is the Peckman company has sort of pictures of the evolution of this whole project, both very interesting. And the last thing I have for an announcement, I want to thank the Dan Schmidt, the band director, and the Stoughton High School Band for being here for that patriotic music. Good job, Dan, and thanks, kids. The memorial wreath that's in front of you here was donated by Pete Gunderson of Gunderson Funeral Home and Dan Stockstead of Stoughton Floral. Today, we pay tribute to the Stoughton area men and women who served in the U.S. military, defending this country, defending our freedoms, our values, and our way of life. We're honoring not only those who served in active duty as a veteran, but also those National Guardsmen and who served in the reserves, and also those people who are active duty members today. Nearly 5,500 Stoughton area men and women answered the call to duty and took the oath to defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies. Each person signed a blank check payable to the United States for an amount up to and including their life. And for those who paid the supreme sacrifice, their names are inscribed on the wall behind me beneath the eagle. So we are the land of the free because of the brave. I'd like to have all veterans, honor guard or National Guard, reserves, and those active duty people here today, please stand. Thank you. Remain standing, would you please? Remain standing. Scott Geister Jones of the Christ Lutheran Church will give the invocation. Please stand if you're able and remain standing for the national anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, on behalf of the Stoughton clergy, it's my honor to share the invocation for the dedication of the Stoughton's Veterans Memorial. Please let us pause. God of life and land and liberty, never have so few given so much for the all. May the names etched in these marble stones memorialize in our hearts the flesh and the blood and the spirit of these men and women who serve their nation, their peoples, and their families for the pursuit of the freedoms we all enjoy. May your grace fall upon the guests who gather here today and in the future, who rest upon these benches, who touch their fingers to the monuments, and who read the history of these good people. May the flags of our country and our armed service branches fly bright against the blue sky, and may it lift our eyes to the heavens and carry our memories with our gratitude for these brave souls. Amen.
Excuse me, I made a mistake. You have to stand, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation. You may be seated. Since the forming of the United States Army, the Marines, and the Navy in 1775, all branches of the military have united in defending the freedoms of this nation. We will now have the raisings of the other flags representing various organizations. We will begin with the prepare to raise the flag. We'll begin with the state of Wisconsin. Raise the state of Wisconsin flag. Raise the POW-MIA flag. POW-MIA flag. officially in 1990, but it goes back to World War II. There are still 83,000 Americans who are listed either as missing in action or prisoner of war. Raise the Veterans of Foreign Wars flag. Veterans of Foreign Wars was formed in 1998, just after the Spanish-American War. Raise the American Legion flag. American Legion was formed in 1919, right after the World War I. Raise the Merchant Marine flag. Merchant Marines was actually formed in officially recognized as a military organization in 1989, but were very active during World War II, carrying goods and supplies to both the Pacific and the European theaters. Many of them ships were sunk and mariners killed, mainly by German U-boats and Japanese submarines. Raise the flag of the United States Army. (1775). Raise the flag of the United States Navy. 1775. Raise the flag of the United States Marines. 1775. Raise the flag of the United States Air Force. Until 1947, the Air Force was a part of the Army, Army Air Corps. In 1947, it was made a significant branch of the military. There are the flags of the United States, the state of Wisconsin, and the 9 military flags. Thank you. Here we go again. Sorry, folks. We have the Coast Guard as well. Thank you. When we got serious about this project, one of the first things we did was contact Stoughton Mayor Donna Olson to get her views, her thoughts on what we should do, or what her thoughts were at least. And Mayor Olson has always been a strong supporter of veterans activities. Right from the beginning, she encouraged us to continue with the project, and during these past 3 years, she's been very helpful, very supportive. So please welcome Mayor Donna Olson.
Welcome. What a great morning it is. The skies might not be clear, but it's still a great morning here in Stoughton. I'm honored to be a part of the dedication of this Veterans Memorial Park. This dream came true due to the hard work of the Memorial Park Committee, Peckman Memorials, donors, and so many more people that we can't even mention today. It's absolutely beautiful. What an honor for our community. The dedication of this park is to Stoughton area veterans. Veterans that served and have given the ultimate sacrifice. Veterans that came home and are still serving our community in so many different ways. And veterans that continue to serve our country and our community. This park honors them all and will for many years to come. The park teaches us all. It allows us to remember, to learn, to honor, and to respect. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention one veteran, actually 2 veterans, that's on our minds today. Pat Nolan and John Christofferson. They've both given to our community in so many different ways, given to our country. We're saddened that they can't be with us today, but we all know that they are here in thought and in spirit. So thank you to all that have come today to help celebrate Veterans Memorial Park. Thank you to those that have worked so hard from the very beginning of that very dream to the reality that it is today. And thank you today and for many years to come. Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Our keynote speaker today is Dwayne Broughton. Dwayne is a major reason we are all able to be here today. Dwayne took the leadership of this project over 3 years ago as the general chairman of the steering committee, but the general chairman really of the whole project. Dwayne has been the leader. He's been the inspiration. He's been the workhorse. And he's been the driver to keep this project on track, to keep it moving. I would just like to give a couple of examples of his leadership style. When we first started, way back when, 3 years ago, we had weekly meetings of the steering committee, but we had monthly meetings of the committee as a whole. When the first meeting we had, there were about 35, 36 members there. Dwayne not only ran the meeting, but he took the minutes as well. At the next meeting, I said to Dwayne, I'd be glad to take the minutes and I'll send them to you tonight via email. Well, the meeting ran late, and then we had a couple subcommittee meetings afterwards, and by the time I got home, I organized my notes, and I get up to the computer the next morning at 4:30 and ready to send an email to Dwayne. I opened up the computer and looked, and there was a message on there from Dwayne at 4:20 in the morning. He said, you told me you'd send me the minutes. Where are they? We met every Monday, and this year, the 4th of July fell out of Monday. Dwayne gave us that Monday off as long as we agreed to meet the next day. We concluded every Monday morning meeting with Dwayne's statement, see you next Monday. You know, we kind of got the feeling that we're going to meet every Monday after 3 years. But on Saturday, almost every time we got an email from Dwayne, reminding us of the meeting and saying, we've got a lot of work to do. And we did. But thanks to Dwayne's solid leadership, we're all here today. Please welcome the general chairman of this $1 million project, Dwayne Broughton.
Wow. What an intro. Good morning and welcome to Wisconsin's most outstanding Veterans Memorial Park. Well over 3 years ago, while searching for a highly visible location for our park, our steering committee received the most generous gift of this site from the Linrud family. It was given to us in recognition of Oscar's 5 brothers who served in World War II. After countless meetings, field trips, and extensive design evaluations, the committee's work has culminated in this wonderful memorial. Coupled with the benefit of the community support, whether in monetary or payment in kind, we accomplished this feat with 100% local funding. No county, state, or federal organizations were involved. Additionally, the greater portion of our construction contracts were distributed and conducted locally. At this time, I would like to introduce the individuals who have worked so hard in this project and contributed so much. Please rise if you're here and be recognized. Site donors Oscar and Shirley Linrud, they didn't want to take a spot and show off it, so they give me the names of their family. Ray Anderson and Cheryl, Shelley Meese, Shelby Hoops, Betty and Steve Linrud. If you're here, give us a wave. Well, there they are back there. Thank you so very much. The steering committee members, Roger Cleveland. Where is he? Vic Diesel. Please remain standing for a moment. Jim Oler. Bud Erickson. Roger Nitchie. Dave Stolen. Basil Sadler. Dennis Durkee. Randy Robertson. And Sonny Swankster. Thank you all. Also, our valued artisans, Eric and Gary Peckman, for this wonderful granite work, and their staff. Aaron Howard, are you here? Aaron Howard on this beautiful ironwork. And Richard Young from Utah on the bronze sculpture back there. Thank you very much. Early on, our planning group determined the overall theme or concept of the park would be to honor, educate, and commemorate. We concluded the memorial should honor all Stoughton area veterans, no matter the era or branch of service they served in. We chose to offer the commemorative area for individual veterans and also for families wishing to further honor the service or memory of their loved ones. We wanted to encourage area schools to bring civics and history classes to the park for educational opportunities. This would allow area youth to be enlightened as to what Grandpa did in the war. The three concepts of commemoration, education, and honor gradually evolved into an extensive design process. Above and behind me is the park archway with its cat's eye red pillars and custom wrought iron letterwork. It serves as the gateway to the entire memorial and also lists significant donors. The promenade, or commemorative area, is next, with the 6 service flags securely set in India gray granite bases, dozens of benches of similar design, further surrounded by hundreds of pavers, all purchased in patriotic respectfulness. Surrounding this area are the 12 educational pillars, containing 48 vignettes of significant historical military events relative to Stoughton and Wisconsin veterans, dating from the Civil War to the current Middle East campaigns. Pillars 1 and 2 have Civil War stories of Stoughton's own Light Brigade, whose service with the Dunkirk Volunteers answered to President Lincoln's call to arms in the Civil War. The Andersonville prison camp, where thousands died of abuse and disease, the turning point of the war, Sherman's March to the Sea, the Gettysburg battles, and Lincoln's address are also depicted on those pillars. 79 Stoughton area servicemen died in the Civil War. Additionally, the Spanish-American War is represented here. San Juan Hill and Teddy Roosevelt's Rough Riders are described. Pillar 3 describes the U.S. involvement in World War I, the war to end all wars. Most certainly the greatest misstatement of all times. Described events include horrible trench chemical warfare practiced at that time, the epic Flanders field poem written under fire on a Belgian battlefield, the Versailles Armistice of November 11, 1918, later to be reviled by many. That date became the armistice date known as Veterans Day now. 26 Stoughton area servicemen died in World War I. Pillar number 4 contains an overview of the impact of World War II on our nation's industries, most of which were converted from the manufacture of domestic products to war weaponry. The hardships of the general populace by the rationing of gas, sugar, tires, and other commodities. Housewives were encouraged to work in factories and were aptly called Rosie the Riveters. The support of our allies, the production of tens and even hundreds of thousands of armaments such as tanks, trucks, ships, and aircraft were quickly built. Pillars 5 and 6 describe events in the Pacific theater of World War II, including Pearl Harbor, December 7, 1941, a day of infamy. The world's most surprising and devastating bombing attack of the U.S. naval forces in Hawaii. Also included is the first Japanese battle loss, the Battle of Midway, Bataan, and its infamous death march, where many 32nd Division soldiers from Janesville lost their lives due to heat, thirst, and torture. The Battle of Leyte Gulf, the Islands Wars, including New Guinea and bloody Iwo Jima, Also, Wisconsin Flying Ace Medal of Honor winner Richard Bong of Poplar and the world's first deployment of the atomic bomb are described on that pillar. Pillar 7 covers events of World War II in the European theater. D-Day, June 6, 1944. History's largest naval invasion on the assault on Normandy, France. The Battle of the Bulge, a surprising and overwhelming counterattack by German forces just before Christmas 1944. The 6-week battle in extremely cold weather resulted in the highest U.S. casualties of any battle of World War II. The Slavic Mountainous War in Italy and the Holocaust, the most horrific genocide in history, where millions were worked to death, tortured, and gassed in concentration camps, are also described there. 62 Stoughton area veterans died in World War II. Pillar 8 has an overview of the Korean War, a country long divided by political ideology. Important events include the battles of Incheon, Pork Chop Hill, the Frozen Chosin Reservoir. The war, which started in June 1950, was never concluded. However, an armistice was signed on July 27, 1953. One Stoughton serviceman died in the Korean War. Pillars 9 and 10 move on to the Vietnam War, another country long divided by political ideology. Described events include important battles, such as the New Year's Day surprise attack known as the Tet Offensive, the battles of Ya Drang and Hamburger Hill, the battles of Khe Sanh and Hue, the role of helicopters in war, in particular, their use as medevac, saving the lives of many. Also, the civil unrest at home, with demonstrations and bombings, such as in UW's Science Building in Madison. It is heartening to note that many servicemen and women returning who were shamed upon their return home by people who were unable to separate the warrior from the war. They have since shown great restraint and proudly show their service pride. 6 Stoughton area servicemen died in the Vietnam War. Pillar 11 focuses on the current Gulf wars in the Middle East, including Iraq, Kuwait, the War on Terror, which was a result of the 9/11 bombing of the World Trade Towers, Iraqi freedom and Afghanistan freedom. Many local servicemen and women are currently serving in those war zones. Pillar 12 is the Stoughton Patriots pillar. It pays tribute to Congressional Medal of Honor recipient Truman Olson of Utica, who, while critically wounded, defended his position for 24 hours, allowing his squad to escape certain entrapment before succumbing to his injuries. It also honors the area's 2 long-term prisoners of war, Marcia Gates and Don Heiliger. Marcia spent 3 years in a Japanese prison camp in World War II. Don spent 6 years in the infamous Hanoi Hilton in North Vietnam. The pillar concludes with the history of Wisconsin's 32nd Red Arrow Division, with its origins dating back to the Stoughton Light Brigade. Beyond the promenade is the highlight or focus of our memorial, the honor area. The pentagonal-shaped deck, which signifies the park's relationship to the military, is 5-star command. When entering the honor area, you first visit the beautiful hexagonal granite tribute, pedestal of honor. It displays the attributes of courage, duty, and sacrifice instilled in all servicemen and women. If I'm talking too fast, it's because it's getting shorter here, right? The India black granite tablets or walls radiating out from the base contain over 5,400 names of Stoughton area servicemen and women, dating back 150 years. The beautifully pillared Georgia gray granite centerpiece with its massive base contains the names of 174 Stoughton area servicemen who died in service to our country, thereby noting the often quoted adage, all gave some gave all. Within their centerpiece is a blue pearl granite depiction of the folded flag of honor, which is given to all service members upon their death. Atop the centerpiece rests a bronze eagle, the symbol of America, representing strength, power, and freedom. During the fundraising and construction of the park, we often were asked, why are you doing this? Well, folks, honoring over 5,400 area veterans is reason enough, but there's more, much more. This memorial is representative of the 174 families that suffered the loss of a loved one, a son, a brother, a father, or husband that did not come home, a branch of the family tree forever broken. Some of these servicemen were lost forever and cannot be recovered. Many others remain buried in foreign cemeteries like Italy, France, and Belgium, Philippines, New Guinea, and Iwo Jima. While all American cemeteries on foreign soil are very well maintained, they remain a significant hardship for family members to visit. Here, their identity is co-located at home with their area comrades. Many of these family members, descendants, and friends sit among you today, grieving without having a place to offer remembrances. From now on, every day can be Memorial Day for them. They can run their fingers over the names etched in granite and experience the electricity of connecting with them. This park will allow the entire community to come here to contemplate and commemorate, as well as learn of the historic events that have shaped the lives of all of us. Folks, that is why we built this memorial, and that is why you and the Stoughton community so overwhelmingly supported us in doing so. And that is why we are here today to dedicate it. In closing, may God bless all the veterans, past, present, and future, and may God bless all of you for your support, and most of all, God bless America.
Thank you, Dwayne, and thank you for all the work that you did. Just a reminder, Dwayne, today is Saturday, tomorrow's Monday, Monday at 8 o'clock. We have a steering committee meeting, and we have a lot of work to do. Just one story before we start toward the close. We were just kind of getting this project off the ground. I was down at the VFW one afternoon in November. We had raised probably $900 by that time. The Sons of the American Legion had a dinner, spaghetti dinner, and raised $350, and others trickled in. A few people were asking me some questions. A guy across the bay, he said, how much is this going to cost you? And I said, about $1 million. And he said, you're nuts if you think you're going to get $1 million out of this community. Well, look around. Everything you see here is $1 million, and it's paid for. Will Patty, Merritt, and Cliff please come forward? I'll tell you about them in a minute, but Patty and Cliff, please advance the memorial wreath to the place of honor for those who were killed in action. Patty's dad, Cliff Merritt, was killed in action in Belgium during World War II. And he's buried at the Henri Chapelle American Cemetery in Belgium. His name is inscribed below on the eagle centerpiece in Belgium, alongside of 8,790 other soldiers who was killed about that time. Patty was 1 year old at the time. 2. Remain standing for the benediction by Pastor Scott. Following that, we'll have the rifle salute to the fallen veterans by Post 5-9 Honor Guard. And taps will be played by Brian Shimon, the Associate Principal of River Bluff Middle School, who is also an Army veteran. Pastor Scott.
The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you, be gracious unto you. The Lord look upon you with his favor and his peace, and all who he's given life to. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
This concludes our dedication program. Thank you for coming.